Grace and peace to you this evening. We are currently recording on Monday, March 17th. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Reverend Hillary Taylor. I'm the Executive Director of South Carolinians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty. And tonight we are doing a clemency campaign toolkit launch for Mikal Mahdi. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and transfer my screen and share my screen to the clemency toolkit. Before we dive into Mikal's case specifically, a couple of quick introduction topics and facts about South Carolina's death penalty and the current state. The last person executed was Brad Sigmund on March 7th, 2025, under Governor Henry McMaster, who has been the governor for almost the last 10 years. Brad was the fourth person executed in 7 months here in the state. Since 1978, South Carolina has executed 47 people. The governor is the sole person who can grant clemency. The Probation, Pardons, and Parole Board, also known as the PPP, has no power over clemency. The governor has never granted clemency to somebody with an execution date in the modern death penalty era in South Carolina. And in terms of death row and the number of people on it, there are 30 people on South Carolina's death row currently. There could be 2 additional death-eligible people in 2025. And then as far as pending capital cases, South Carolina has not sentenced anyone to death row since 2019. New death sentences are few and far between, and approximately 60% of people who are sentenced to death are eventually resentenced to alternative prison terms. So this is a picture of Mikal Mahdi, and this is one of the many images that you can find in the SCADP digital organizing toolkit. We'll get to that in a bit. Let's talk about the circumstances of the crime that Mikal Mahdi is connected to. Mikal experienced a chaotic and neglect-filled childhood that left him with profound mental health needs as an adolescent. From ages 14 to 21, instead of receiving intensive mental health treatment, Mikal Mahdi was incarcerated for almost all of his adolescence and early 20s. He was subjected to nearly 2,000 hours of solitary confinement in juvenile prison and 6,000 more hours of isolation in adult prison. He also spent over a year in Wallens Ridge State Prison in Virginia, a supermax facility that's well known for human rights abuses. Within several months of his release in 2004, that is what that year should be, at age 21, Mikal committed a series of crimes across several states, which included carjacking, firearm robbery, and 2 murders. On July 15th, 2004, Mikal robbed and killed a 29-year-old convenience store clerk named Christopher Jason Boggs in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. 2 days after the murder of Mr. Boggs, Mikal carjacked a man and stole his car in Columbia, South Carolina, before he fled to a local farm in Calhoun County and killed 56-year-old off-duty police officer Captain James Myers. After killing him, Mikal burned Captain Myers' body. Mikal was arrested in Florida 4 days later on July 21st, 2004. He was extradited back to South Carolina to be charged with the fatal shooting of Captain Myers. Mikal was convicted of the murder and other charges in South Carolina and sentenced to death in 2006. In 2011, following a guilty plea, Mikal also received a life in prison without parole sentence in North Carolina for the murder of Mr. Boggs. Today, Mikal is remorseful and accepts responsibility for all of his actions. After everything he'd been through, Mikal gave up on life and acted out horribly and in tragic ways. His legal team will argue that Mikal's execution should be stayed and his case given a second look because 1, his trial attorneys presented barely any evidence about Mikal's traumatic upbringing. Their presentation lasted less than half an hour. And 2, there is new medical information available today about Mikal's background that has never been reviewed by any court, such as the recent consensus against using solitary confinement on teens like Mikal with mental health challenges. I'm going to go ahead and show a 3-minute clip that you can find on www.stop-mikals-execution.com. My understanding is that this video did not have any sound the last time that I played it, so we're going to pray that it does have sound as you are watching it. But if you do not hear the sound, what I'm going to encourage you to do is go to this website and listen to the 3-minute clip for yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. Talk a little bit about the toolkit, or excuse me, we'll talk about the petition first. So if you go to bit.ly-Mikal Mahdi, and that is Mikal, capital M, Mahdi, capital M. The capitalizations are important. You'll be taken to our petition, which right now you can see has over 1,600 signatures so far. Our goal right now is 5,000. We will increase that number as we get closer to that goal and establish a new goal if we surpass that. But the aim is to get as many signatures as possible so that we can present this petition to Governor McMaster, or at least his administrative assistant if Governor McMaster is not available to meet with us. But we want to make sure that South Carolinians specifically are against the execution of Mikal Mahdi, and that executions do not help us. They, in fact, ensure that more violence continues across South Carolina. And then here on the petition itself, you can see some more information that is essentially already on the Stop Mikal's Execution webpage. So there's some of that information right there. And then you can also be redirected to the website stopmikalsexecution.com, and where you can see the 3-minute film that we just watched and the full 30-minute video as well. Let's talk about the digital organizing toolkit. So for this toolkit, we have the usual kind of big Facebook image that folks can use for their Facebook covers. We have a brief description of the case and the highlights and troubling flaws of the justice system. And then all of the action items. Again, we have the 3-minute version and 30-minute version of the documentary about Mikal. We have the ways that people can follow SCADP, and we've also added Blue Sky as one of the ways too. We have ways that people can, share the toolkit. We have lots of sample posts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. A lot of normal ones, but also a few specific ones related to Mikal's case. The first, instead of hundreds of hours of solitary confinement, traumatized teens should get hundreds of hours of mental health treatment. #clemency for Mikal Mahdi. And then a death penalty defense should last longer than a TV episode. Mikal Mahdi's didn't. Now South Carolina wants to execute him. If you go to the sample graphics and click on this particular link right here, you'll be taken to all of the graphics that we have for Mikal's case, and then we'll be adding some more as needed. These ones are fairly traditional, but we've also created some additional ones with Mikal's photo, some primary source documents from his elementary school, and then some reports from the prison itself, referencing taking a stand against prison abuse of teenagers and taking a stand against children in solitary confinement. We also have scripts for people to call the governor of South Carolina, a kind of sample Twitter /X/Blue Sky post, and then also instructions for how to email Governor McMaster, which we have gone over several times. What you want to do is go to this bit.ly link, bit.ly/SCADP-governor. You will go to contact the governor, and I'll go ahead and increase that a little bit more. Choose contact the governor or lieutenant governor. You'll fill out all requester information sections and click the next button at the bottom right-hand corner. You'll choose other, you'll choose governor, you'll write Mikal Mahdi in the subject box, and then you'll send a message to urge Governor McMaster to grant clemency to Mikal Mahdi and save him from execution. And then we also have a little bit more that I want to show you about the website Stop Mikal's Execution. Again, an introduction to Mikal, the 3-minute video we just watched. If you click on this link here, you can watch the 30-minute film. Mikal's timeline is right here. It takes you from age 5 to age 21. But if you just keep clicking the right arrow, it will take you through all of the different pieces and parts where there were different choice points, and for different reasons, either made on behalf of Mikal or that Mikal made, there were not his best interests that were taken into account. We are showing, again, sort of primary source documents and writings from Mikal himself. And then also people who were speaking up for Mikal: Sophia Gee, Mikal's aunt, Sheriff James R. Woodley, and then Carol Wilson, Mikal's 5th grade teacher. And then for those who are connected to press and media, if you want to schedule an interview, you can contact Courtney Farrell at cfarrell@bit.co, and she will connect you appropriately. Things that are needed for this particular campaign: volunteers for vigils. We are asking for connections to legislators who will speak out against executions, and then connections to faith and spiritual leaders who we believe will be an important part of this campaign, but especially people who are imams or prominent Muslim faith leaders in South Carolina. Mikal's family is Muslim. What I have been telling people is that this is not a marathon. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It is a movement, not a moment. And I have been talking about a recent experience I had visiting the Grand Canyon. At one of the info markers right beside the southern rim of the Grand Canyon, it talks about the geography of the space. There is a kind of middle red line halfway down the canyon, and that points to a time period in the geological history of the canyon where a volcano erupted and the lava flowed through the canyon and actually blocked the Colorado River for many, 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 many years. Now, eventually what happened is the Colorado River became so blocked up that it actually broke free at one point in time, and the dam that was created by the lava disintegrated. And what this info board said is that in the end, water and gravity will always win. And I think that's a really profound statement when we talk about the death penalty, because, my friends, the death penalty is gravity. It is something that is falling away without our help. But we are the water, and depending on our pressure, it's going to fall more quickly. So that is what I am telling people to remember, is that we have a chance to really impact this system. And it's not a matter of if we abolish the death penalty, it is when we abolish the death penalty. A couple of things to consider for your calendar. On April 10th, we'll be having both a petition delivery at the State House at 11 a.m. and also a vigil of remembrance at 7 p.m. Both of these things will take place in the Columbia. Petition delivery will be at the State House on the first floor. Meet us at 10:30 a.m. And then the vigil of remembrance will happen at Washington Street United Methodist Church at Christ Chapel, which is their side chapel in the parking lot that is closest to the church. On April 11th, there will be a vigil outside of Broad River Correctional Institution that is co-facilitated by SCADP and also by the Roman Catholic Diocese of Charleston. It will start at 4:30 p.m. and it will end when the execution is announced, and also when a press release is read by me on behalf of SCADP and its followers. Something that is not on this particular schedule, but that we hope you will consider going to, is an event on April 9th called Who Would Jesus Execute? A Conversation About Christianity and the Death Penalty, that will also take place at Washington Street United Methodist Church at 7 p.m. Other things for your calendar. On March 27th, we have a virtual book club called on the book Gruesome Spectacles, Botched Executions, and America's Death Penalty by Austin Surratt. This is partially inspired by the fact that we had a firing squad execution for the first time in South Carolina's history, even in colonial history. So we wanted to go ahead and just look at other death penalty methods that have been used across the U.S. history. April 1st, we have a monthly info session. If you're somebody who's not connected to anti-death penalty work in South Carolina, but would like to be and would like to learn more about the death penalty, this is the best place to start. And then we also have a monthly organizing meetup on April 21st, which is a deeper dive into some of the work that we are doing with different campaigns and different movement partners. You can get more information on being a part of those meetings at www.scadp.org/upcoming-events. And then on April 24th, we're asking people to put a pin in their calendar for that day, because that is the day that SCADP, as part of the South Carolina Justice Partners Coalition, will be facilitating Second Chance Day at the Capitol. This is a day where we are inviting system-impacted folks, returning citizens, the communities that they are come out of, and people who are impacted by our prison system to come to the State House to engage in civics and also to introduce themselves to representatives and legislators and senators and say, these are the bills that pertain to my life and to my experience and to my community and to people impacted by our prison system. And we want you to pay attention to these bills in these specific ways. We'll have more information as we get more concrete details about that day. If you're not following SCADP, we encourage you to do so by subscribing to our newsletter, scadp.org/newsletter. You can find us on all of the socials, on all of the Meta programs, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. You can find us on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can find us on Blue Sky and also LinkedIn. And that is everything, friends. Thank you for being with us tonight. We are grateful for your presence with us for this Clemency Toolkit launch. And we hope you have a good day or a good evening, depending on when you are watching this. Thank you.